Hello everybody, welcome to How to Play Like a WoP Pro, the series where I teach you how to get better at World of Tanks, how to play certain maps, etc. Today I'm going to be showcasing a replay in the T100, which I had while platooning with Deft. He's sniping for me in his Hori, which definitely helps when you're playing a light tank to have platoon mates which can snipe for you, because randoms is kind of just down to luck whether they can help you or not, whether they can hit their shots, whether they play the right positions to support you. And in this replay, my goal is to teach you how to systematically clear, how to systematically play this map from this side, Malinovka North Spawn, in a light tank. I'm going to show you how to get early game spotting, and then how to progress the game from there, if possible. And I'll show you the things you need to watch out for when playing this spawn. So this is just my opinion on the best way to play Malinovka from this spawn. There are other ways that you can spot, going to this standard bush, playing over here, even going to the hill. But really, if you want huge games, this is the best way to do it. It's not entirely reliable. You can sometimes get countered, but usually that risk is completely worth it in my opinion. So without further ado, let's get right into the game. So as you can see, I'm bringing my scouting loadout. This is a very standard scouting loadout that you should bring on scouting maps and scouting tanks. Minus maybe like the Sheridan, minus maybe the RHM Panzer. Depends what you're playing for, damage or combined. But in this situation, this is perfect for me. So how I like to play this map from this spawn, the first thing I want to look out for is what enemy light tanks they have. EBRs are the most dangerous ones because they can YOLO the field instantly and counter you. But as long as they don't have an EBR and you're in a relatively fast light tank, you can get away with this probably 80% of the time. And even if you don't get away with this, there's a good chance that you're able to escape. And even though it will be a bad start, you can still recover the game later on. But taking this risk at the start of the game, more often than not works out if you do it properly. So what I first look out for is obviously the enemy light tanks. But after that, I see what kind of tanks I have on my team that could support me and how many people are staying in the base to support me. So you want to look for people who are playing at this rock or this rock. Now I have Deft on my team, so he's going to help me out. He's going to go to one of the rocks there. And what I like to do is take this position initially. And it's very important how you approach this position, because if you don't want to get spotted taking this, you have to go in from a slightly wide route. Because if you just cut straight across to this bush, you can get spotted through these gaps from areas like this and this. If someone just pulls up in the bush right at the start of the game. So try to take a wide route. Now this will put a bush in between you and the enemies, so if the enemy light tank does the same thing, that's where the risk really comes in, and that's why this doesn't work probably 10 to 15% of the time, because an enemy light will just YOLO here. If that happens, you just need to maintain your momentum in the bush. I usually will start towards like here, and I don't stop immediately getting into the bush. Just in case I'm lit, I'll try to keep my speed a little bit, and if I see my sixth sense go off, then I'll immediately just turn and dip and try to get into this low ground here where I'm safe. It is risky, but if you manage to get this bush for free, you're in a great position. So here I go. I take the bush, getting ready to flee just in case I'm spotted. And what you really want to do, and if you have platoon mates or you just want to ping for your teammates, what you really want to do is focus anything that's crossing here first. So if stuff gets spotted over here, those guys can always be dealt with later. But these guys here are the most important, because killing these guys before they get to this position means it makes it much easier for you to progress along this flank. And so I'm asking Def to pray him over here, and as you can see, a leopard gets spotted. It's very important that he dies. Unfortunately, he takes no damage, and this is one of the first areas where you can get stuck. So we got this for free, which is great. But this position here can be really annoying. And so ideally, if they play like a bitch and they just don't peek at all, then there's not really much you can do about it, but you can always just leave. So it's a safe play. As long as you get this for free, you can always just leave. If someone is being really annoying here and you can't deal with them, you don't bleed them on the cross. But as you'll see, if you have CVS and optics, you can usually spot this guy as he gets in this bush. And as you can see, he gets into the bush and he immediately gets bled hard, because I have a lot of support behind me. And this is the best case scenario, is that this guy gets bled a lot if they manage to get there for free. He managed to get there for free because he's in a fast tank, a leopard. And now that he's down to a one shot, I'm going to make a risky play. I'm gonna go push him out because I think he's the only tank there. Now this is another area where it can get kind of risky. I'm full health, so I'm not too worried about it, and I have great camo. But when you're crossing here, if you have less than like 50% camo, which I have higher than that, you can get spotted from like this bush here, especially if they have binos. So you want to get over here as quickly as possible. Now, if you get spotted, I see a lot of people make a mistake. They'll just jump in the water assuming that they can get there. You have to make it to like all the way here, past this bush before you can jump in the water, or else you'll just drown. And you want to take the water route because if you stay up high, that just gives you more opportunity to get shot from here, and also this position right here. But I'm not lit yet, I don't think, so I'm not really worried about that, and so I decided to bypass this already and come from this area so as not to get proxied by the leopard and take a hit from him. And since I'm so low profile, I'm not too worried about this, because I can always dip down into here, and since I surprised him so much, I don't think they're gonna be ready for shots on me, and so I just dip into cover here. Now this is the next stage of progression here. There's a couple different things you can do. You can try to come out here really wide. You can only do this if you have very good camo, and you want to spot people along this area here. Now this E4 makes things a little more difficult. Usually no one will be here, but if you get spotted here, then you can't really retreat without him shooting you, but you can kind of stay hull down here and pretty hard to hit if you're in a T100 because of its low profile. But instead of going wide like this, because the E4 is there and the Progetto is close by right here, I decided to take a different path. This is another pathing that you can take. Usually you'll want to poke here first to see what is along these buildings in case there's someone who managed to get to here and is just unlit somehow. But as long as I don't get proxied by this Progetto, it should be completely fine. And I know that he's at this building, he's not here, so it should be okay for me to just peek into these bushes and try to get some spots. Now the other part of this progression is hopefully as you clear this, some of your teammates will start pushing behind you. And the reason why this is important is because one of the places you can spot as you push over here is this position right here, and you can get a ton of spotting on this area because if you have the hill can shoot it. People in the base will sometimes have an angle. You yourself have an angle if you can double bush against them, and then anybody who's pushed behind you will also have an angle on it. But I'm being very cautious. As you can see, I'm worried about the Sheridan who could be in that bush, but he hasn't lit me yet, which makes me think he's not there. So as you can see, I'm kind of going wide here, and the reason why I'm doing that is I don't want to get lit by the Progetto, but I haven't been proxied by him yet, so I think he left. And this is a little bit risky because if I get proxied here, then these guys can shoot me, and so I probably could have been a little bit more cautious doing this, but I was pretty confident that the Progetto wasn't here. But now we've got these guys permalit, this WZ, and he should die because as you can see, I have teammates following me up, and it's going to be really hard for him to escape without exposing himself to the base. So he's just getting farmed. And now pay attention, I'm shooting this guy from 400 meters away. This might seem extremely risky, but as I covered in one of my camo videos, even if you're not double bushed, you still retain some of the camo that the bush provides you if you're firing inside the bush. So I actually have like an extra 10% camo added to me, even though I'm not double bushing. If you haven't seen that video, I think it's called Wargaming Was Wrong. Something about camo, I don't remember exactly. I'll try to remember to link it in the description, but it's pretty useful in light tanks in particular. It means that you can shoot people from like up to like 370 meters away if you're inside a bush, even not double bushing, and still not get spotted if they don't have the greatest view range. Despite that, I still am trying to double bush because it's just safer. And so now that we cleared that guy, I want to make it to the next position, which is here. From this position, you can get deeper lights, but it is still kind of risky, especially if they have back here, they can light you, but there is a bush here which you can hide, and I'm still full HP, so if I take a hit from the E4, I can still just get here and then try to get unlit. Another place that you need to watch out for when clearing to this part is this position right up here next to this rock. It's kind of hard to see from here. It's right here. They can shoot you from this angle, and so if you're being permalit right here, you will probably die. So you want to play kind of on the edge of this corner, trying to stay safe from this, and then you want to get unlit. You might take a shot from here, but once you get unlit, you're usually chilling. You want to make sure that this area is cleared before taking this area, and I'm pretty sure there's nothing there, although I'm not positive, but I don't see any trees down, and it's pretty likely I would have spotted them at this point. They should be panicking because they're getting lit. This Wheezy died from full HP, so should know that something is going on and they need to leave. So it's a good thing the Sheridan backed off. He's not going to be a problem in here. He kind of had to back off, or else he's going to die from these areas here. And another thing to watch out for is as you cross this building, you can get spotted from here through this window. So keep that in mind. Now I am looking at what's spotted and stuff, and they only have like 3 tanks that are unlit. So even if I do get lit, it's not a guarantee that I'm going to die from there. I can just take a hit and then try to get into cover. But the reward here is very high if I manage to get into these bushes, because these bushes are the next step in trying to clear this area. Once you get in these bushes, it's just GG. You're gonna clear the whole base. But I actually decided to go more aggressive than that because I kind of see that they have a ton of tanks on the hill, and since I'm so low profile, I think that I can do a run and get safe here, or just play in this area and I'll be mostly safe. The main problem is the E4, who I didn't think would have an angle on me, but thankfully he misses. But I'm trying to make it to some kind of area where I'm safe. I do have support behind me, so hopefully this E4 will be distracted and not become a problem. And there, that's the position that can counter you right there. This is part of why the T100 is so powerful. Its insane camo, along with its very low profile nature, means you can sometimes just get unlit even from very close ranges, and also just avoid fire because you have a little bit of armor, as well as using very small ridge lines in order to stay safe. And here I'm just farming this Foss, trying to double bush on him. He should be under pressure right now. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff that could potentially hit him, so he's kind of panicking. Now I'm just gonna play this bush here, and I still see they're winning the hill. This is not good, and I'm concerned we're gonna cap. They should be able to clear out this E4 relatively soon, but all that's unlit right now is the Minotauro and the Leo. So my next plan is to make it into this area. I should be safe from everything except for K0 from there, and I'm kind of thinking that I most likely won't even be lit, but I do get lit. They have a Progetto in that bush, which I didn't anticipate, but I kind of do want to spot him. If you look at how many snipers are behind me, I can get a lot of spotting damage here, even if I have to risk my life for it. Now this E4 is really the biggest problem. We need to clear him. Looking for a shot on him. Another area that you can play if you manage to get here, you can either go into these bushes here, which is a more passive play, or if the enemy has won the hill, you can make it into these bushes here or these bushes here. You just need to watch out for right here where the Progetto was, because if he spots you, then you can die from the hill. But this is still kind of like a ridge line where I can kind of play mostly safe. I'm thinking that the Progetto isn't in those bushes. I think he backed off or went down the 0 line. So I do manage to get into these bushes. And now I'm just going to chill for a while. I don't think I can play any more aggressively at this point. They have the hill. There's nowhere really I can progress up to, and there's no real point to, because I'm already spotting basically anything that's poking the hill. One thing I could do is clear the 0 line, but as you can see, there's a lot of dips and valleys in here, so if I spot them, it's going to be at very close ranges, and if I get lit, then I'm basically screwed, because the hill can shoot down on me, and my teammates won't necessarily be able to shoot them back very easily. Instead, I just want to play passive here. I'm hoping that my team will progress to the south, so I can see what's there. I try to take out their RHM because he's kind of in a problematic position where he's in a crossfire against me, and I just thought that I could get away with it because I can always back into this dip here, and I don't get lit for it, which is very nice. Now I kind of want to make it back into this bush, but I'm not sure if I can, so I might just take this bush. They could always be peeking from here, so I've got to keep that in mind. I'm constantly getting ready for my 6th sense to go off and try not to overextend, but I make it into these bushes here, and I'm just permalighting everything that's on the hill. Unfortunately, I don't get the spotting on the Progetto. He wasn't exposed to me, but I am spotting this I-7 coming off the hill. I still feel okay firing here because now that we've cleared K0, I don't think there's much that will be able to punish me unless they like overpeak here, in which case I'll get all the spotting on them. And I see that we're capping, so the pressure is kind of on for me to play as aggressively as I can to try to get as much use as possible. I have enough camo where I can kind of just drive through the open here and the hill shouldn't be able to spot me. But now that we have tanks down here, this now is a pick. Before it wasn't because my team was all back here and they could hide in this valley. But now I want to make it up to this rock, stay safe from the hill, and just spot everything here and shoot them in the side. Do a little run. Didn't expect the Foch to be there, but it's alright. I have support behind me, so he dies very quickly. And right now I'm trying to focus the minnow because he's the one who can spot me right now. I do realize that there's people coming here, and so I'm kind of getting concerned. But I really want to finish this minnow first. And if they do come around this rock, I'm hoping that my team will be able to deal with them. I see that we're capping, so I'm just trying to get the most use as possible. I ask him to stop capping. I think this is probably a mistake here. Coming around like this is just way too aggressive. I didn't realize that our Yag had stopped capping, or so I could easily have died here. But thankfully they both missed me. This was way too aggressive probably, although to be fair, the game is kind of over. All of their heavies are low HP, and I get rewarded with 1,000 spotting on this guy as well from the Yag. So sometimes in light tanks, when the game is kind of over, it's a good idea to YOLO in, but usually it's better to play a little bit more passive. It really depends on the situation, because suicide scouting is usually a bad idea. It's definitely a bad idea at the start of the game. It's only towards the end of the game where it's somewhat viable on some maps, especially if the enemies are all in the open. But now I'm in a situation where I don't expect to get much more spotting because these guys are kind of safe on the hill unless they overpeak, and my teammates are closing in, getting spotting for themselves, so I'm kind of going for damage. Get a sneaky shot there. And now I'm just trying to close the distance. I'm a potential one shot, although I'm just gonna assume that he won't high roll me because the game is over and I want to play aggressive to get as much as I can here. This VZ is going to get above me, and so I know that I'm on a timer. I am low profile, so it won't be easy for him to damage me, but if he over peaks for me, there's not much I can do about it. But regardless, I'm still playing aggressive because I really want the damage here. And the VZ bounces me once, which is great. And I think that the VZ's on reload, so I go for him instead of the S-Conk, but he dies. And now I'm just trying to get that one more shot in before he goes down, and there we go. That's the game. We cleared that side. We got a ton of combined. Did some damage as well. There are a lot of times where you're kind of safe in a shallow hole or something, or a little dip in the T100 where you can kind of still do damage even though you're spotting. You just have to know which angles you're open to and be willing to risk it. There are times when it's not worth the risk and you should just play passive. I would say overall in this game I played a little bit too aggressive. Especially in this area right here. I probably could have just stayed in these bushes and played a little bit more passive. But I decided to cross up to here and just risk it, and it ended up working out for me, especially because of that Yag shot on the Crom and the fact that the enemies missed me. And that's pretty much it for this game. Just to recap, I take these bushes in the beginning, taking a wide route, making sure not to get spotted from these base bushes. If an enemy light YOLOs me, I'll try to dip out as fast as possible and hope that he dies and I survive, in which case I can retake the bushes. If I get the bushes for free, I want my team to focus these tanks that are crossing to K3 because they're the most important ones that you want to dig out, because once you kill the K3 then you can progress further. If they do manage to get across, a lot of the time you'll spot them as they poke up into this bush here. And so it's not necessarily lost if they just take this position, although if they play very passively, there's not much you can do about it, and you'll probably have to rotate out. But if they do manage to die, then you take as long a path as you can here to avoid getting spotted from here. You take out here, you can either play wide here and try to get spots on this, although you have to be very careful. If they're here, a lot of the time, if you have like 50% camo, they're not going to light you, but if you have bad camo, like in a Sheridan or something, then you need to be way more careful. If there's nothing in these areas, then you want to progress up here and try to outlight this. And use these bushes in this area to get deep lights into their base, and here. You want your team to come up behind you if possible, and then if you're able to take this position, which usually this position will be backed off, so you just need to be conscientious of the fact that they could be here and get side shots on you if you get lit, so you want to be very careful. But if you do manage to get into these bushes, you're in an extremely strong position to get huge view range all throughout this area. And from there, you can be aggressive like I did, although if you're not in a T100 and you want to play it safe, you can just cross through here and go up and take this bush right here where the Yeg is. I usually don't go south to clear the 0 line. I usually will just play in this area, and if they've won the hill, then I'll play in this area right here, or this bush here, and try to get lights on this, or people poking off the hill. And this is the part of the game where you have to be concerned about your team capping, and you want to see how much support you have. You don't want to overextend if possible. If you manage to get to this bush cluster though, you're pretty much completely safe. You can just sit there, spot everything coming back off the hill. There's even a little dip here, so as long as you're not spotted, or you're safe from, or you're not concerned about K0 shooting you, you can shoot them back in the side, especially if your team is pressuring it and the enemies are distracted. And then from there, it's not exactly easy, but you can try to spot this area and just continue to spot the hill. And that's pretty much it. I've used this strategy many times in light tanks, and it works pretty consistently, and it's the best way to get huge damage, huge spotting combined games, in my opinion. You can do this in an EBR, T100, Manticore, AMX 13105, Sheridan. It'll be a little bit harder. RHM Panzer as well. But the T100 is definitely the best tank for it, I think, as well as the EBR, just because they have great camo, and the T100 is very low profile, which there's so many little ridges you can use. It's great. So let's go over the post-game stats real quick. Whoops. So here, the heck? Okay, so here's the statistics for this game. 8k spotting, 5,000 damage, and my light tanks very often, I won't just go for pure spotting. If I think I can get away with shooting, I can. It does result in me probably dying more often than I should, so it is risky, but if you're going for high combined, sometimes it's definitely worth it. In this game, it definitely paid off, getting 5,000 damage added on to my spotting. Patrol duty, Brothers in Arms, Confederate as well, Mastery badge, and we got almost 1500 base XP, which is great for a tier 10. Deft farmed as well because of our good spotting, and we pretty much broke even with the battle payments. So yeah, hopefully you've learned something from this showcase of how to play Malinovka from this spawn. If I ever get a good game on the other spawn and I remember, then I'll try to show you how to play the other side as well. In my opinion, the other side it's a little bit more tricky because I don't think you have as great of an advantage in that bush line as you do on this side, but it can still work, and there are some other places that you can play from the other side which are useful as well. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video and you want to see more, please like and subscribe, and if you think this content could be useful to other people who you know, like your clan members, please share it with them as well, as that would really help me out. that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.